ABC News foreign correspondent Ian Pannell is in Tel Aviv with the latest. Ian, Israeli authorities say aid is now moving into Gaza. What are you learning about that?
Yeah, that's right. We know a few hundred trucks actually crossed over yesterday on October the 9th, and more trucks appear to be going in right now. I think probably most significantly, apart from the fact that this is desperately needed, and they're going to need a lot more than that, it's back to the old aid delivery system, the one that Israel, with US backing, tried to abandon. It's the United Nations and the Red Crescent are essentially running it. Now, we're seeing images of one of those Gaza humanitarian Foundation aid sites having been abandoned. Remember, this was a system that was set up to try and bypass the UN. It was ostensibly an American company that was delivering it, and it was hugely controversial. Hundreds of people were killed around those sites, and we saw those desperate images of people trying to get aid. Well, it now appears that that's almost just been pushed to one side as this deal starts to move forward.
So what's it like there now that this ceasefire is in effect?
I mean, astonishing images, almost biblical images of thousands of people streaming up that coastal road through the dust and the desert with the sea on one side towards what is left of their homes, of their communities, of their country. And more images are now starting to emerge of the scale of destruction inside Gaza. Barely a building standing, and those that are heavily bomb damaged. The scale of destruction is immense. In some senses, Gaza, as we knew it, has gone. And it just underlines the importance and the huge need of reconstruction.
And Ian, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said this morning, and I'm quoting here, "We are gripping Hamas from all sides in preparation for the next stages of the plan." What does he mean by that? And what else stood out to you from his remarks?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he kind of said that despite, because of the massive military pressure and the massive political pressure from President Trump, that Hamas was forced to return all the hostages. I mean, it was Netanyahu trying to say that he was vindicated by the strategy that he had pursued, even though many hostage families would disagree vehemently with that. Yes, he said that Hamas is being squeezed from both sides in preparation for this next stage, the next stage being when Hamas will be disarmed and Gaza will be demilitarized, in his words. Now, this is an important quote. He said, "If this is achieved the easy way, so be it. If not, it will be achieved the hard way." Clearly, a threat of a return to military action if Hamas doesn't comply. But already we're seeing that it's Hamas resuming charge in those areas, the Hamas police force taking control of the streets once again.
Ian Pannell, thank you. ABC News contributor and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East, Mick Mulroy, has more on this. Hi, Mick. So the U.S. is sending about 200 troops to Israel to help support the ceasefire deal. But the White House says no U.S. troops are intended to go into Gaza. So how will that work?
So, Diane, likely they'll be part of the effort to get this large increase in humanitarian aid into Gaza under the 20-point plan. It's supposed to go back to the 600 trucks per day. All the food is available. It is in warehouses, but it will be a Herculean effort to get this started and going and flowing in, but it is very much needed. And I imagine these troops that are going in specialize in this. So logistics-based type forces. That could be very helpful to get this going. It's very much needed.
People in Gaza say Israel was still shelling even after the cabinet approved the ceasefire plan. What's the strategy there?
So when you withdraw as a military unit, it's a very tense time because you're vulnerable. You're leaving likely fortified positions, and you're moving back, in this case, to this yellow line that they've agreed to. There's a lot of groups in Gaza. They're not all controlled by Hamas, and many of them could take the opportunity to attack the Israeli Defense Forces, which up until now were their enemy, or at least they viewed it view them that way. So there could be skirmishes going on, and of course, the IDF is going to defend themselves. So if that happens, you could see these skirmishes going on. It will look, of course, like combat operations because it is, but it doesn't necessarily mean the ceasefire is broken. As soon as they get back to these agreed upon lines of the forces, they will likely fortify and get themselves prepared and then be more able to defend themselves. But during this time, it is very vulnerable. It's very tense. And of course, we're also waiting to see these hostages be released. And that is a very tense time as well.
So what are you watching for ahead of the planned hostage release next week?
So I would look for all of the logistics that goes into this. It's very complicated. The International Committee of the Red Cross, they've been given armored personnel carriers by the IDF to be able to move in and get these 20 living hostages and all of the deceased. It's very complicated. At the same time, hundreds, if not thousands, of Palestinian prisoners are going to be released. That has to be orchestrated and essentially to gain trust. So it needs to all happen at the same time. And then, of course, many of these hostages are very much malnutritioned. They need to go directly to medical facilities. So this is a very difficult time, but obviously a very good time for the families of these hostages and Israel and the people in Gaza, which will see a substantial increase in humanitarian assistance.
Mick Mulroy, always great to have you. Thank you.